Hey YouTubers, it's me again. So this was one of four Saturday morning projects for me and my son Jake. This cooler, the guy went and tried to fire it up and said it didn't work. So we went down, I inspected it, and I knew all the parts that I needed, so I had purchased those a few days earlier. It needed a pump, needed a belt, and it needed all the pads. So that right there, that's just hard water deposits, calcium that builds up, from the water on the pads and stuff. It was this cooler is actually not in terrible shape. It's probably medium bad. It's got at least, I'm going to say, at least 3 more years on it, the way that it sets. But there's like just a bunch of junk all over it. The calcium, the hard water is all over everything. The water is filthy. All that stuff's got to be cleaned out of there. So get it off so that it doesn't chew up the new, the new fan belt that's going to go on there. So there's a bunch of cleaning to go through. I really didn't expect this thing to take 3 hours to get done, but as you see, like, there's like a lot of little things that maybe somebody else would have just let it go. But if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. You don't want to come back, when somebody's not happy. So a few minutes later, we're trying to take these pads out, and the one in the front, we got the other two off, but there's one of them, there's Nala the Wonder Dog. One of them is just so stuck, so I need to take and try to, I don't want to deform it by banging it with a hammer or anything like that, so just going to take and scrape off all that calcium, see if that doesn't help it out a little bit. Spray the edges with some WD-40. Got to do what you got to do, like put a 2x4 underneath of there and tap it with a hammer and try to get it out there as gentle as possible. There's my son Jake. We've got one out already, and he's wire brushed it and he's painted them. So we got 2 of them done now here. There's 9 clips to this video. There's a dog barking next to us that's just absolutely obnoxious. So yeah, the 2 of them came out. One of them, we were just having one heck of a time, and I think maybe because that one was stubborn before, that absolutely nobody made the attempt to change it. It's rock hard. It's as hard as cement. Right there, you can see that. I'm trying to get the wire braces that actually hold the new pads in there, but it's like, pulling them out of cement. They have to come straight out. That thing is supposed to be soft and pliable back there. We're going to replace those with aspen pads, but you're going to see here in a second, Jake stops recording and I go looking for a hammer, so you'll see this. So here I am, I'm with the hammer now, and like I said, it's like cement. It is rock hard. That's supposed to be like soft and spongy. So the solution was to soak it down with water for a half hour and then peel it out. While that pad is soaking and stuff, made a little progress. I cleaned out the bottom of the, the tray there where it holds the water and stuff, and now the light's not very good, but you got the pillow blocks, bearings, pillow block bearings is what we call them, lubricated and stuff, so it spins pretty free. You can't really see on this one, but in a second I'll move over to the other side and you'll see there's actually a little spring-loaded cap where you take and put Zoom oil in. I use the rust release, to get these things started, and then I fill up that little cap right there, that hole. Then that gets the Zoom oil that's made just for these coolers and those bearings. So yeah, got it going. It spins real nice and free. Otherwise they'll squeak, or the bearings will heat up, and then there'll be a problem. So water's supposed to come dripping down out of those right there once the pump is connected, but you can see that all the framework that takes and holds I call that a spider, all the framework, they're just rusted and gone, so there's no way to support the spiders up over the pads to keep them wet. So we're gonna have to think outside of the box. I think I show a picture maybe of like how one of them is supposed to be, but anyways, the solution is going to be UV protected zip ties. So I'm just gonna, like, that's how the original one was supposed to be, a piece of metal holding it, but they're rusted, they're gone. So we're gonna take and drill some holes, go up, one up through the top, one through the side, and then we're gonna support those the spiders so that they'll stay in place, while the cooler is running. So that's just another little thing that you got to do. Some guys might just if they're laying in the pads, I mean, they'll work, but anyways, the water is all nice and clean now. It's just stained down on the bottom. Maybe when we shut down here in the fall, we'll take and put some of that black rubber spray in there. Probably wouldn't hurt it. But now it's time to move on to clean the calcium and the hardware off all the pulleys and stuff, get that cleaned up. This pump, it was probably just left down in the tray. It draws the water up through those little slots right there, but if they get clogged, then it's a futile effort. But majority of the time I see that people won't drain the tray, and they'll leave the pump out all winter. So when the water in the tray freezes, it freezes the pump, and consequently there goes $30 or more out the window because they just didn't want to go and take it out. So I'm trying to spin the shaft with my fingers there. There's no way it's going to turn. Between the hard water and being frozen, it's just a goner. So there's another expense. There's the tube that feeds the water to the spiders. You can see I already got one of the zip ties up in there to hold that spider framework up and out of the way when you take and put the pads back in. So there's just little things, but it all adds up, We had to shoot WD-40 in there to get that last pad out. It was just so stuck in there, it's not funny. You can see all the stuff stuck all over my fingers and stuff. But anyways, yeah, and then I'm gonna just, there's already 2 holes in the back over there, so I'm just feeding a zip tie in there, and that's how that last one will end up being secured. So we're 2/3 of the way there. The pad is being soaked, the water's all nice and clear. It's time to hook up the pump and see what we can't get out of that. So we'll be back. So the pump is now hooked up. We got fresh water running through all the spiders except for one. It's got a clog in it. So I took that little nipple thing off of there and ran some wire up through there. And then what we had to do is, Jake and I, we had to take and plug up 4 of those holes so that all the pressure from the pump would go through the one hole that wasn't through that one hole that wasn't cooperating. So now we got a couple of the pads already put back in. We're getting ready to take and wet them down. Just have that one last one that we finally got the cement out of. I call it cement, but now you can see they're all running clear. They're all up into position where they need to be. The new Aspen pads are in there. It makes your house smell great when you fire this thing up. Really like that part. And so I'm gonna turn on the pump. Got the inside groove, the tracks on the motor and the pulley cleaned up, ready to rock and roll, and get ready to take and put in the last pad. But my son, he's just learning, and he forgot to take and put in excuse me, he forgot to take and put in the wire retainer. So you'll see here in a second when I take and I put it in, that thing's creating suction, and it looks like it's moving slow, but it's really going full blast. When I put it in there, I noticed right off the bat that something's not right. I'm like, hey, this doesn't look right, and I pull it out real fast before it gets sucked into that squirrel cage, and he stops filming. I'm I'm like, oh crap, we need to get this out of there. So I just put the wire rack in and then put it back into place. So basically, here it is. It's all done. It's painted, retarding the rust a little bit. All the water jets they're doing their job. It looks a lot better than when we started. And you look inside there, it's doing what it's supposed to. The water's pumping. It's falling down. You'll see here in a second. You see the water dripping down through the pads, and that's what actually does the cooling on the inside of the house. So took a long time. Had to think outside the box. But we got it done, and the guy that lives there is cool and happy.